Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And thanks again for joining me here at the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 41. Well, I'm still trying to recover from the odd sleep schedule that I was on over the weekend because, of course, I had to watch the Ryder Cup live despite the time difference in Paris, France. So at the time that I'm recording the intro to this week's episode, here's what we know. As catchy as that song is, I don't need to hear the Tommy Fleetwood and Francesco Molinari chant anymore. Patrick Reed apparently wanted to play with Jordan Spieth, but Jordan Spieth didn't want to play with Patrick Reed. And then he apparently stated that he was stuck with Tiger. Oh, wait, someone in the team room is now saying that Reed begged to play with Tiger. Oh, and DJ and Brooks apparently had to be separated during the Euros victory party. Well, here's the thing. I've never really liked to focus on golf gossip. I think that all this crap will blow over, and we'll be left with the simple fact that Europe played better, and they had home field advantage, and that's why they have the Ryder Cup. In 2 years, at Whistling Straits, the United States will have the home field advantage. Will the USA play better golf? Well, that's the interesting question. So, before we get started with this week's episode, don't forget, all of our episodes are available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The Central Hub, thebackoftherange.com. And I'll keep saying it, please leave a review in Apple Podcasts. We give free stuff away all the time here. So if you like what you hear, you like the podcast, leave a review, let me know that you did, and we'll send you one of our free caddy towels. We'll send you a beer koozie. We got all sorts of stuff around here. It's just our little thank you for supporting the Back of the Range. Don't forget, we are on Instagram. We're there at the Back of the Range Podcast. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. All the links that you need to get in touch with us are in the show notes of the episode of this podcast. This week, we're going to head back into the college ranks. I was able to catch up with a childhood friend of mine that's now actually the head coach of the men's team at the University of Nevada. Our guest this week is Jacob Wilner. Jacob played collegiately at Coastal Carolina University before moving on to Nevada. He also worked at the Hank Haney International Junior Golf Academy. He's played in multiple USGA championships, so he's not just coaching the game, he can play it a little bit as well. And before we get to the episode, I do need to congratulate Coach Wilner and the Nevada Wolfpack. Yesterday, they won the Nick Watney Invitational at Dragonfly Golf Club in Madera, California. The individual medalist was Nevada sophomore Joey Verzich. Remember that name because we will discuss him a little bit later in the episode. So let's get things started. Coach, it's been a long time. Congrats on the victory. Welcome to the Back of the Range Golf Podcast.
I'm doing great, Ben. Thanks for having me. Yes, it has been a long time.
I know.
Good to reconnect.
I know. We have to. We always start these episodes with a little bit of background information of our guests and where they started their venture in the game of golf and where they grew up. And I know the answer to this, but most people don't. We both grew up in the exact same hometown, Coral Springs, Florida. So to further illustrate our age and how much older we are than people that listen to podcasts, why don't you tell everyone how we met?
Well, we played baseball together. If I remember correctly, it's probably when we were 13 to 16, maybe somewhere in that range. And I remember you're probably a year or two older than me, and you were a significantly better baseball player than I was. I just kind of was out there, giving it my best. I remember you were good, and I know we grew up probably within a 5-minute bike ride from each other.
Exactly. Well, I may have had your number on the baseball diamond, but you're definitely have my number on the golf course. So we both went to the same high school in Coral Springs, a little bit different years. But so you played at Terravella High School in Coral Springs. Tell me about growing up in South Florida, playing junior golf, and where that led you into your college days.
Yeah, I mean, it was an ideal place to grow up, hotbed for golf, and certainly a lot of talented players that are in our age range. And I had a brother that's 5 years older that was a good player himself, and my dad played and got me into it. And yeah, growing up in South Florida and playing the courses we did was definitely a huge advantage for me looking back, for sure.
And you played well in high school and got found yourself playing collegiately. You played at Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach. I know most people listening, as soon as they hear that university, they automatically think of Dustin Johnson. But where did you get recruited? How did that process occur that led you to play at Coastal Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, recruiting, 10 or however many years ago, a million years ago, feels like, well, certainly a lot different than it is now. No cell phones, no email addresses. So a little bit different, but I did get recruited at some bigger schools. I had a pretty good junior career. And I took a visit to Coastal Carolina, which was a smaller school at the time. It's since grown with, the number of students, but I just loved the feel of it. I remember, growing up in South Florida when you put it on those nasty Bermuda greens where you play in the afternoon, and it was horrific. And I went to this place called Wild Wing, which at the time had 4 golf courses and had, to this day, the biggest putting green I've ever seen. And it was just perfect bent grass. And it was one of the first things I saw on campus. And I told my dad right away that this is where I want to go, and I want to be the best putter I could possibly be. So that was kind of my experience, and I made a great decision. I loved my experience there.
Well, obviously you played really well. You're a 3-time All Big South Conference. You had the 54-hole scoring record of 205 in 1999. It's since got surpassed by a handful of guys, but most people think of Myrtle Beach as kind of a golf travel destination. I know I've been there a handful of times. Seems like any time of the year you could probably play like 7 rounds of golf in 6 days for what seems to be $300. It's kind of a discount golf paradise where there's just courses all over the place. What was it like going to college in that kind of a town?
Well, being a golfer was great. So Coastal Carolina University's campus is in Conway, and Conway is probably, I'm kind of taking a guess, but it's probably a 7, 8, maybe 10-mile drive to the actual beach. But there's, at the time when I was there was over 100 golf courses. So we definitely had the relationship with the courses, and my coach at the time, who still is a PGA pro, had great relationships. So we had the opportunity to play just a multitude of golf courses. So that variety and different grasses and different courses definitely helped us get better too.
And being in that town with all these golfers that are coming in, and 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds married with the kids, and the wife lets them out for a weekend, and they come into town. You ever run up against any of these guys at the golf courses? I mean, these got to be just pigeons, just easy money for gambling games. I mean, college kids, you got to eat, you got to get your pizza and beer.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously not supposed to gamble when we're playing.
No.
But I think it might happen from time to time. I know that after I graduated is when I really, when I actually turned pro for a brief stint. But that's when I started getting into playing in money games, and that 100% made me a better player. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a cast of characters throughout the the months. Like October, November is huge in Myrtle Beach, and then April, May is huge. Just when the weather is perfect and the golf courses are pristine. So you definitely saw some interesting things in the golf course. But so
you played professionally for a little bit, and then you moved into your career as an instructor. And gosh, you have some pretty good name affiliations here. You worked as an assistant golf pro in Los Angeles from 03 to 06 at Wilshire Country Club. But I really wanted to ask you about your experience as an instructor at the Hank Haney International Junior Golf Academy. So that's up in Hilton Head. How did that position come about? How did you transition from player to instructor?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I actually got my start in the golf business out in LA at Bel Air Country Club, and I worked there for about 6 months. I was I met the longtime pro there playing in events in South Florida, and he offered me a job. He said, "Hey, I don't really have a whole lot for you right now," but he knew I was moving out there, and he gave me a start. I was working outside services, and I graduated into the pro shop, and then And then the full-time job came open at Wilshire, and I took that, and that really helped. But I went to Hank Haney for the sole purpose of getting into college golf. I knew that's the direction I wanted to go, and I did my research, and I saw that a lot of universities are hiring instructors that at golf schools like Hank's, and then like IMG down in South Florida. So I went there with the sole purpose of building my resume, learning about becoming a better instructor, but being around junior golfers, which subsequently led for me to get hired at Nevada.
I guess one of the questions I have is that working at such a high profile institution such as Haney's Academy in Hilton Head, did you have to learn not only the golf swing but also how to teach it, how to communicate your thoughts and ideas, but I guess more importantly, how to deal with juniors, their maturity levels, what were some of the early things you learned from Hank Haney and from the other instructors there on how to communicate effectively to juniors?
Well, I learned mostly about just preparation, tournament preparation. There's and the difference between, when it's time to kind of make some adjustments in your swing and when it's time to prepare for a golf tournament. And I'm more of the coach and instructor now that is more preparation, trying to prepare yourself to play competitive golf, because, the college golf season is very quick. And there's really not a lot of time to be messing around and making major swing changes. It's more about just preparing for tournaments and short game and management and exercise and diet and all the other stuff that go into it that I think has a bigger effect than messing around your golf swing.
Sure. Well, you mentioned Nevada. You spent a couple years as an assistant, and then you get the head job. When you first heard about an opening at the University of Nevada, now you're a South Florida guy. I know you spent some time in California, but South Florida, humid, even Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, same thing, playing on all this Bermuda. You get the call, or you get the information that there's an opening in Nevada. Did you know anything about Nevada golf or anything at all? What was your first impression of Nevada?
Well, I'm actually impressed that you know how to say Nevada properly. Most people on the East Coast, myself included, before I got hired, say Nevada.
Oh no! I read a book. Yeah. I'm a professional broadcaster here, so I did my homework here.
That's good. Well, we actually had shirts on campus that say it's Nevada, not Nevada. But yeah, no. But I honestly, I didn't know much, if anything. I hadn't about the university. I know that the guy that hired me obviously showed some belief in me as what I was doing beforehand in my background that we just talked about. And, we actually had one of the best teams in Nevada history. Was my first year coming in. We had as an assistant, we had a very older team and a very talented team. So it was a fun experience right away. I believe we won 3 or 4 tournaments that first year. And we just missed out on regionals because, as I'm sure we'll talk about, it's pretty difficult to get into. But I literally knew nothing. I packed my car. I was from Hilton Head, and I drove, I think it was like 2,700 miles from Hilton Head to Reno. I did it by myself. I did it in 3 days, 12, 13 hour days with a bag of sunflower seeds each day, and then the windows down, just kind of pumping through the United States in my car during the middle of summer.
Wow.
I was really excited though. So, like I said, I did it in 3 days. I knew this is what I wanted to do, and it was going to be my career choice that I would be doing for probably the rest of my life. So I pumped it out in 3 days. It was tough. I stopped. I'm trying to think where I stopped. I think I stopped and made it from Hilton to just outside of Illinois, and then I stopped in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Yeah. And then I pumped it all the way through. I think the last day was like 13, 14 hours, man. It's a long way from Cheyenne to Reno.
That's a lot of travel. So you mentioned that you knew this is what you wanted to do, and you think this is what you want to do for the foreseeable future. What is the biggest draw, the biggest attraction that you have to coaching collegiate golfers? What's the, if you had to, I know it's a tough question to put it into one, to give one solid answer or one definitive answer, but what's the one thing that really attracted you, or that really attracts you to coaching college golf?
I mean, you just get to work with elite athletes. I mean, it's so hard to be a Division I athlete in any sport. And obviously my background is golf, and to be able to do something for a living that I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, college was the best 4 years of my life. And somehow I graduated on time in 4 years. And, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a team that never had won conference before. And we won 3 out of 4 years when I was there. And, to kind of continue my experience with college athletics as a player to transition into a coach. I mean, I'd be hard pressed. I would think that every other coach that does it, that has played Division I golf, that's in the industry that I'm in, I would agree with it. Just an amazing experience, and to be around such awesome athletes and to kind of just help mold them and guide them and just give them, just some advice on, because you've been in their shoes and
Sure.
what they're going through and the ups and downs of golf and all the other stuff and the adversity that comes up as a player, and just to kind of help them out and tell them things are going to be all right, and give them a little bit of advice here and there, give them a little kick in the butt every now and then when they need it. And, I try to keep things pretty casual.
Sure. Well, the interesting dynamic that you have in your team is, you're a younger guy. I mean, you're early 40s, and you're not just a experienced instructor. You have the collegiate playing experience, but you're also playing some really great golf yourself right now. So you did get into that USAM in '98. That was right after college. But I'm just looking here at a few of your stats. I mean, before the U.S. Pub Links went away, you qualified for that in 2013. You're the Nevada State Match Play Champion in 2014. You represented Nevada at the USGA State Team in 2016. You've won a handful of county amateur events. What's it like when you can go out to a team practice and pretty much hold your own with your own players and sometimes beat them? How's that? It's kind of a unique dynamic that you have there.
Yeah, it's fun. I think all the guys that play for me, they probably would agree that I kind of hit it all over the joint. But I have a pretty good short game, and I generally tend to be pretty good with the putter. So that kind of saves me. But
Sure.
It's good. I think I definitely enjoy playing my guys. I don't do it too often because it is more about them. But
Right.
we try to. I do definitely get involved in short game stuff and just kind of contests just to kind of keep them interested a little bit. I think it I'm sure it adds for a little bit of respect, but it's fun to just engage with the guys. And when there's some downtime and we can go out and just have some fun and kick it around, and we do it. And then the majority of the time when we're serious and just working on their games, but it is definitely fun, and I still do enjoy playing competitively. I actually have started to work on my game a little bit more recently, which is fun, and I'm excited. I got a brand new crop of guys coming in. We just graduated a pretty, we had an older team, and obviously we were pretty successful. Now we're back to having a younger team. So
Sure.
Time to get back to work with that.
So you mentioned you have some guys leaving, some guys coming in. Let's hit on last year. So Nevada reached your first NCAA regional for the first time since 2008. Really got a tough location where you went to Norman, Oklahoma for the regional there as the number 10 seed. Didn't make it out of regionals, but the experience of getting there, how much does that really add to the program moving forward?
I think it's huge. We knew we had a special team, before the year started, and we made it a goal to talk about regionals. We did it all year round or all year long. And it's not easy. You got 298 Division I teams, and I believe the number this year was 59 or 60 somewhere. Actually, I think it was 61 teams that got in that large bid. So it is tough. We are a mid-major, and we are cold weather, and we have our budget challenges, and that's not something that it's a big secret. But we had a hell of a year, and we proved to a lot of teams, and maybe surprised a lot of teams early, but we proved that we were good because we did it all year round. I'm not sure exactly what our winning record was, but our overall record, but it was, we beat up a lot of good teams, and we beat a handful of top 25 teams. And I tell you what, we were in the mix throughout regionals too. Our guys handled it pretty well. We were in the mix in the hunt the last 9 holes, and we fell a little short, but it was good. It was definitely fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you, I have to go back to this regional announcement of when you did get it. So for people that do follow the Golf Channel, that do follow college golf, it's become commonplace, kind of similar to, I think college golf is taking a page out of college basketball. So a playbook where when these teams get announced and when they get bids into regionals, there's the live shot of the team as they see their school's name flash upon the screen, and they all jump up and down or applaud or something. Well, you have a young gentleman on your team, Joey Verzich, who actually, congrats to him, just qualified for the USAM yesterday at the date of this recording. But he decided to celebrate in a probably a frightening way for you as the coach. Tell this story of the announcement that Nevada is in the regional. Walk me through this scenario, because I'm sure you were there.
Yeah, so you had the you had the live posting on the Golf Channel, and there's the 6 different regionals, and I think we were all very comfortable that we were going to get announced. At that time, we were ranked 57th in the country, and we had just won a tournament, our second to last tournament, and then we finished 3rd at conference. So, we were very comfortable that we're going to get selected, but you literally have no idea. I mean, there's no geographic implication on
Sure.
where you're going. It's pretty much just that you never know. So, I think we were the third regional announced, and we're at a country club and having lunch, and you had the media there, and Joey's quite the character. He's an incredible athlete. He really is. He is a very good athlete, and he just kind of said he wanted to do something special, and it was kind of last minute, and they announced us, and sure enough, he executed a perfect 10 backflip.
I'm sure a lot of people saw that. That kind of went viral, and we'll definitely post a video of that on our Instagram page, and make sure people see that. So speaking of recruiting, you mentioned you got the old guys they're taking off, and you got new freshmen, new young kids coming in. You have some guys coming in or you have a player coming in from Canada. I wanted to ask about international recruiting. What's your process for that? Because you can look at scores, and you get some kid lighting it up anywhere shooting 67, 68s, but if the competition isn't really strong, or maybe you have another guy that's shooting 74s, but it's on a 7,200-yard golf course. How do you go through that process of recruiting internationally when you might not have as much face time or personal time with that player?
Yeah, I rely on a lot of my instincts. I rely on a lot of relationships with coaches, foreign coaches. I'm actually not very concerned with golf swing, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. So I try to build a team that's going to have chemistry. So I go off a lot of personalities, traits of the players that I'm recruiting. I'd be totally honest, and some coaches, may not say the same thing, but I've recruited a handful of players before that have come to Nevada where I've never seen them hit a shot in a golf course. So I know that's a little bit different, but I trust the coaches that I'm talking to. The scores don't lie, and then ultimately, the personalities, bring them on campus and spend a couple of days with them on an official visit and really get to know them. And most of the time when I do go watch a player, that's probably one of the last things that I do. I've already talked to them, had a relationship. We've even discussed scholarship. We've even had them on campus. And then a lot of times going to watch them is part of the last part of the process that I do. So maybe a little bit different, but seems to be working out for the most part.
Well, I also think that no matter what kind of scores they're shooting, if they don't have the personality and the maturity to balance schoolwork and balance the practicing and all the travel, it's not going to work out anyway.
Right.
So getting to know the player, I would imagine, is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Getting to know the person. Yeah. Getting to know the person is very important. Golf is golf. You know, there's crazy golf swings out there that get it done. The swing itself and pretty low on my level of concern.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about Nevada. So golf is obviously not the only thing going on there right now. You've seen huge growth in the university, where their enrollment is nearly doubled since you joined the staff and joined the athletic staff. What's a big draw to Nevada right now? I mean, what is a thing that you can really sell to some of your new recruits that are coming in about the experience at Nevada?
Well, the campus itself, I know that once I get a player on campus for a visit, that, you know, my success rate of getting that player is very high. Our campus is gorgeous. It's grown. You know, I started 10 years ago. We had 13,000. Now we're over 22,000 right now, and there's new buildings everywhere, and it's all beautiful brick, and they did a really good job of tying it in.
And there's slot machines in every dorm room, right?
Pretty much. No, yeah. Everywhere you go, you can find it if you want it. But yeah, the campus is beautiful, and the president has really done an awesome job, and our director of athletics has really is taking care of every sport, not just the big sports, which is good to feel that love. Being a smaller Olympic sport. It's our campus is awesome. The town is really growing. It's cleaned up. We have a lot of, the real estate is booming, and a lot of tech companies and Tesla and other, things have migrated to Reno, and it's a cool spot.
What's the environment like around basketball season right now? Because you guys, Nevada is just really taking off on the basketball scene. Is pretty much that the hottest ticket in town right now in Reno?
You kind of try to figure out whether you're a football or basketball school, because I'm sure if you look at it, there's very few that have both. And I've always felt we're a basketball school. Certainly nothing against other programs, but our basketball right now is just Coach Mush is doing an amazing job. There's a huge buzz around the community and nationally. I mean, we're preseason top 5, and he's doing an amazing job, and he's an awesome dude. He's very supportive of other coaches. He's very visible. I mean, I've several times walked into my office and had a note on an article, that was in the paper about our program, and a handwritten note from him. So that's definitely cool. And it's a good vibe, good buzz around the athletic department. And, there's no doubt that, when bigger programs around the university are doing well, that it helps out every sport. So, it's pretty cool.
Excellent. You're doing great out in Nevada and working with these young kids, but I guess we can look back to your experience at Haney's International Junior Golf Academy. Really was setting the groundwork for you to take on this position. And most people, when they think of Hank Haney, they think of, hey, he was Tigers coach and all this experience with professional players, but Haney was actually the head coach at SMU. So can you speak to the relationship that you still have with him and how he's helped you, form your coaching ideology and your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, he always had stories, stories about Tiger, stories about people. He's a great storyteller too. But my ears perked up every time he talked about college golf, because, like I mentioned, I wanted to be a college golf coach, and he was very successful at SMU. And one of the things that still sticks with me, and we still communicate, is just the importance of just working hard, and how hard work is going to beat talent a lot of times, and how he had teams that weren't very talented in the grand scheme of things, but they outworked people, and how, at tournaments, very often they were the last ones to leave the golf course. And I think one of the reasons why we had such a great year, I'm sure there was plenty of them, but is we were that team, even when if we had a bad round and we were in the afternoon, we'd play in the morning and we'd come back and practice, or if we had a later tee time and the guys would just keep grinding, and very, very often we were the last team to leave the golf course. And that's something that struck a chord with that Hank talked about, while I worked for him at IJGA, that really has always stuck with me. And we still talk to this day, 10 years later, and I'm not afraid to ask for help. I send him videos quite often of some swing video stuff for some of my guys that are struggling, and we'll have a text conversation back and forth. And what's the ball doing? What's this? Blah blah blah. And he's always been gracious enough to help me out, and very appreciative of that.
Yeah, no, that's great to have someone like Hank Haney as a kind of an unofficial advisor to kind of help you out with when you're in a tight spot. Can't ask for anything more than that. Well, Jacob, let's we like to get people out of here with a couple of quick questions. It's the quick bucket here at the back of the range. So let me ask you a couple of questions. So Jack Nicklaus won the 1986 Masters at the age of 46. Let's compare that to a potential fit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to get Vern Lundquist on here so bad. Vern, if you're listening, I want you bad.
He spoke at the USGA 3-man state team. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I wish I was there for that. So Jack, 86 at the Masters at the age of 46. Compare that to a potential fifth green jacket of Tiger Woods. Which would be the more substantial victory?
Can I be bipartisan on that one? I mean, Jack at 46, but I mean, I'm a Tiger fan. I mean, okay. I think he's one of the best athletes in the history of sports, and I would love to see him win another major. I think once he wins another PGA Tour event, which I know he will, I think that I don't think players forget how to win, and once he wins, I think he's gonna hit the ground running and win again.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll take Tiger. I'll take Tiger's win over Jack.
Okay. Let's see here. We're recording this right before the Open Championship, so I'll just throw this one in here. This will be fun to come back to and listen to this episode right after it. But who is your Open Championship pick to win? And then if you had to pick someone in the field that is going to have a Jean Van de Velde moment like the one he had at the Carnoustie in '99, who would that person be?
Ooh, boy, I might get in trouble if I answer that one, but I'm gonna say that my long shot is Bernhard Langer. I'm gonna say he's gonna be in contention. I don't think distance off the tee is very important at this golf course. Oh boy, if I say Phil, I'm gonna get in trouble from his buddy. If I say Phil doing something crazy, I'm gonna get in trouble from his brother Tim, who I'm good friends with. But I guess I'll have to go with that. Hopefully that doesn't come back and bite me.
Well, he's done stuff like that in the past, so it's not like it's a big long shot. I mean, he had the thing at Wingfoot, but yeah,
right.
That has happened in the past. Actually, there's a picture online of Phil hitting a bunker shot right now.
Right.
And it says, "Please don't use the bunker." It's a closed bunker. Yeah, Phil's always doing stuff. Let me see. If you can give a major championship to anyone in history, live or dead, or they could have one major, they could have 18 majors. Who would you give a major championship to?
Well, I don't think I'm trying to think of his name. I don't think he ended up winning one, but Roberto
DiVincenzo. He did.
Roberto
he did win.
He did win one.
Yeah, he won a British Open. Actually, 60.
He should have won.
I know he should have won.
He should have won two. He should have won two, though.
I know.
So I would probably say I'd give him an extra one just because the poor guy signed an incorrect scorecard, or else he would have won the Masters.
I know. That is one of the that is an absolutely crazy one. Well, Jacob, I really appreciate the time. I know it's a busy summer for recruiting. You're going back and forth between Reno and all the different areas in between to look for new players and solidifying your roster for next year. We will definitely keep an eye on everything Nevada and all the things that your team is going to accomplish, and hopefully make it back-to-back visits to the regionals next year, and enjoy the rest of your summer, and hopefully we'll get some golf in soon. Yeah, thanks, Ben. I appreciate the support, and I'm looking forward to
another exciting year for our program and good stuff to come.
Awesome. And there you have it. Another great episode here at the Back of the Range. Thanks so much to Coach Jacob Wilner of the University of Nevada Wolfpack. Congrats on their most recent victory. Remember, we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. All that information is available in the show notes of this podcast. So we'll see you next week here at the Back of the Range.